Hey, I'm Cameron McKenzie. I'm the editor-in-chief over at theserverside.com, and I want to quickly show you some of the magic of JShell. Now, as you can see here, I've got Java installed. I can prove that to you by doing Java version, and I can also bring up JShell by typing in JShell. That starts JShell, and if you take a look, you'll see that I've got version 17 of JShell to match version 17 of the OpenJDK. Now, what can you do with JShell? Well, I'm going to click Control L just to clear the screen, and then I'm going to declare a variable, int x equals 10, and boom, all of a sudden a variable named x with a value of 10 is declared. Now you may have noticed no semicolon. They're optional for individual statements in Java. It gets a little trickier with for loops and conditional statements, but simple statements, the semicolon is option. Now you can put them in, so int y equals 20 with a semicolon. That's completely valid. You can do that. Now I've got two variables, x and y, and if you really want to, you can add them together, system.out.println, and I can say x plus y, and boom, all of a sudden it tells me adding those two things together is 30. So that's pretty cool. You can declare variables, but you know what? The tool can create variables for you too. So watch, math.random. That generates a random number for me, but I didn't assign it to a variable. So boom, all of a sudden JShell says, don't worry, I'll take over. I'll assign a variable to it, and it assigns the variable $4. So if I go system.out.println, $4, boom, it actually prints out that number for me. So it actually does variable initialization and declaration for you, which is pretty awesome. Now, that was math.random. What about random from the Java util class? Well, I can go random r equals new random. All of a sudden, that creates a new random object for me. You can see that instance variable r there, and now I can go r.nextInt. Isn't that one of the methods that you can get from the random class? And boom, it gives me a next int. Impressed? Maybe, maybe not. Well, the reason you should be impressed is because I didn't have to import anything. No imports were necessary. If you write that in Java code, you'd have to import java.util. I didn't have to. So what's next? Well, take a look. I've got a file name here named raven.txt, and that file, raven.txt, has got a whole bunch of poetry in it. And I've also got this file here named readfile.jsh, and that's actually just got some code in it there for me. And it's just the code to read and print out that file, raven.txt. Now, if you know anything about Java, you know that, well, in order to run a line of code like this, file, lines, path, for each, print out, access the file, you got to wrap that with a whole bunch of exception handling code. Well, not in JShell. I'm just going to type that in, and boom, all of a sudden it prints out, once upon a time, a midnight dreary while I pondered weekend weary. So got a little reference to Edgar Allan Poe there, but yeah, we didn't have to do any exception handling. Now, the other cool thing is I've done all of this just at the command line, but you can write full programs. So I've written this file here. I'm going to open it with Notepad. It's called game.jsh, and you can see it's a little number guesser game. You can even notice that it's actually got Java Swing in there too. So this is a GUI program. Can you do GUI programs in JShell? Well, let's find out. I'm going to clear this window here, and I'm going to say /open. That's just a JShell command. Make sure there's no space there, so /open. Then what was the name of the file? I can see it there, game.jsh, and I'll click enter. And boom, all of a sudden the program runs. And let me just take a look behind this window. There is a swing component. What's your guess? I'm going to guess the number 2 because I know that's the right answer. And when I come back to JShell over here, notice it says 2 is correct. So there you go. I'm actually running JShell, but I'm using windowing components, dialog boxes, running full programs. It really is limitless here. Now, by the way, I did mention the imports. If you actually type in /imports, it'll actually tell you all the basic packages that are imported already. You can do like /env, and it'll show you some environment variables you may have set, but you can see I haven't set any. There's a bunch of other commands as well. And one is /exit. And if you type in /exit, well, that gives you a nice little goodbye and exits you out of JShell. And there you go. That's how JShell works. Now, if you enjoyed that quick tutorial, why don't you head over to the serverside.com. We got lots of great tutorials on Java, JShell, DevOps, Git, GitHub, you name it. If you're interested in my personal antics, you can always follow me on Twitter at CameronMCNZ. And why don't you subscribe on the YouTube?